mean, this kind of applies to somebody as well, and that we started it.
Yeah, okay. Governance. Okay. So,
Well, Mike was saying something about the comments section and what he's, the
Yeah,
comments
so-
section and social media. He's looking at a procedure to do with comments, like whether.
Comments, oh, I'm sorry, I have,
It's okay.
so I can kind of recap in a second, but just, so now that we've kind of called the meeting to order. So I think basically we should at least, let's kind of just touch base on where we're at on the policies we've been looking at so far, and then we can kind of just figure out, if anyone needs help on anything, or if we, if we're making progress, or, think we're gonna be able to circulate drafts, by our next meeting, or where we're at on various things. We can just go around. I'll talk about mine. I don't know.
Well, mine's short. I just looked at the policy. I didn't actually.
Which one was it?
Anything else. The meetings, the meeting room.
The rooms. Are you looking at the study room and the?
Yeah.
The study room and the meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I didn't do further than that, so I just didn't have time.
Yeah, it's a very busy time of year.
October is like a whirlwind.
Yeah,
But I'll try to get something done, at least the one of them for the next meeting.
okay. So I was talking to Narina just before you got here, before we started, but I'm looking at the social media policy. I'm also looking at, because the reason that the social media policy came up and the reason we're looking through it's closely related to our public comment policy.
okay,
Because the issue with the social media was concerned that our policy is not legally compliant as far as the comments, our policy about what we can, what comments we can disallow.
this is the report that we got.
Well, so there, and there's a couple things. This is from the ALA.
Oh,
They published the social media guidelines. And if you read what they say about it, they basically say that you're really very limited in what you can prohibit people from, or, what you can, like, what in terms of removing comments or blocking someone from posting because of their comments or things like that.
this is comments that would be made to the library website,
Yes, so if we have like
not
face,
to people check into when they use the computers. We have no control over that.
no, this is not the computer use. This is
Our
the library's
comments
social
are
media,
relevant.
right? So if we have a Facebook post about some library program or something like that, and there's comments below it, to what extent can we kind of try and clean up the comments or keep people from using that to start,
It should be as open as possible.
Yeah, and so that's, the issue is that our existing policy has several provisions that are pretty broad, and in terms of, so, generally, the way as a,
This is,
yes, that's the one, right?
Yeah.
So in the case law, they will consider a social media post, if you have comments open on a social media post, then that's considered to be a designated, like, limited public forum. So you can limit it based on the subject matter of the post. So we can say that any comment has to be germane to the topic of the post you're commenting to. So someone can't just have random things about some other unrelated library issue that they want to, it only has to be related to whatever that post is about. We can do that. So if we want to constrain it in that way, we can, because that's viewpoint neutral, and it's basically just saying, when we open a post for comments, the comments are supposed to be germane to the topic of that post. It's not just an
But who's
invitation.
determining that? Like, what if they say, how sometimes people have a viewpoint, but when you say it to them and they disagree with it, they sort of attack it in random tangential ways?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, and I'm sure there could be maybe some judgment calls or gray areas. And that's why, unfortunately, right? When
do we have an
They-
open forum comment? In other words, if somebody wanted, forgetting about a topic, if somebody wanted to comment about anything in the library, do we have that available? Because if we had that, no, we don't.
not
Okay.
on
I
Facebook.
don't think we
um,
should.
I don't have Facebook.
Yeah,
Just,
I interrupted you, Mike, I'm sorry.
no, that's fine. You know, I think on Facebook, it's gonna be a post by post. You know, each time we put a post up there, there's comments that go on that particular post. I don't think there's any general posts on the entire page, are there? Comments on the,
Because if there were, we could say,
I think
we're limiting it to
I
the
think the
topic.
our page allows patrons to post on there unless it's approved,
Oh,
or even if it's an option to post. You know, how you
I
post
don't-
on
I
somebody's
don't know.
wall, but some people have it open, some people have it closed, some people have it open with permission.
right?
this is some people being libraries.
I know, I'm saying just people on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know nothing about Facebook.
Yeah,
So I'm saying if we had a general comment page, just, you can say whatever you want, like a suggestion box.
bitch about it.
What?
Yeah, I think it's,
Just put their gripes out there, it would just be too much.
Well, the reason I mention it is if we could say we have to limit it, but I'll let you
no, no,
finish
we're,
thinking.
we're gonna
If
say.
if you're saying, here's a topic, event on Thursday, Halloween.
Well, that's, yeah, I mean, yeah, we have that, it's just not open comment for any suggestions that you
What
wanna.
I'm saying is if we limit it to next week is Halloween and somebody writes in Halloween is a witchcraft, it's anti-religious, blah, 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 because people feel that about
Yeah.
it. But if we had a general page that gave them an outlet to make a comment about the library in general, it's just a thought. If you don't think it's a good idea, it's fine. I'm just saying there would be another way for people to communicate with us.
Yeah, I
It's
think,
up to you guys.
I think we have, I mean, do we have, there must be on our website some sort of general like email address or contact.
Yeah, for
information.
comments, but they're not public.
No, not public.
I mean, but they will be read in our meeting,
Read in our.
Yeah,
so, but I just think Facebook is too much. There's.
if we have a vehicle, then we just.
Yeah, we have a
Well,
vehicle.
let's go ahead then.
But I think in terms of comments, that's a tricky one, because I agree, you can't, just because I disagree with something doesn't mean you're not allowed to put it on there, you know what I mean? But at the same time, some people feel attacked, like at what point, who decides what's inappropriate? Like, would threats be inappropriate?
Yes.
Well, so this is on the ALAs, this is what they, this is how they describe the categories that you can legitimately
Mhm.
prohibit. And it's basically things that are outside of First Amendment protection. So they have copyright violations, obscenity, child pornography, defamatory or libelous comments, or imminent or true threats. And that's it. That's like basically the full scope of it.
Yeah,
Right?
It's fine.
And which is fine, and we can, and again, you can limit it a little more with the germaneness limitation by saying it has to be on topic
Related to
to whatever
the
the topic
yeah.
is. And that just says, we're not opening this up to any random thing you want to gripe about. If we post about a particular program and somebody wants to complain about that program, that's fine, but if you post about a program, they can't complain about, some librarian was rude to them, that has nothing to do with that
But nor
program.
can they be obscene or threatening
Yeah,
or.
so
anything
the
like
thing,
that.
obscenity is extremely narrow. It does not mean like vulgar language. And the other thing is, just a week ago, there was a Court of Appeals case, it's 11th Circuit, so it's not like our circuit, but there's nothing in here that's particular, that's like circuit-specific law or anything. It's relying on like the Supreme Court standards. But this was a public comment policy of a school district.
Oh, okay.
And they struck down significant portions of it as being unconstitutional, including obscenity. It said obscene, and they said, well, yes, obscenity is unprotected, but that's not how they're using obscenity. They were, stopping someone from commenting when they used vulgar language. And they said vulgar language may be, offensive to people, but it's not
Not
legally
protected.
obscenity. It's not legally considered obscenity. So if you are enforcing it that way, that's inappropriate.
Right.
That's unconstitutional.
Well,
And then they also had one, because we also have a thing that says personal attacks, right? And theirs was phrased a little differently. It was personally directed comments.
and that was struck down.
And that was struck down. They said that's a, viewpoint particular, specific. You're saying if you're gonna criticize a specific person or something like that, then you can't, prohibit people from
Avoid
doing
that. You can't avoid that.
Right.
Now,
And
I agree with everything that you're saying. I think we should make it broader, and just limit it to
First
those
Amendment.
protected categories.
Protected, right.
My question is though, with the human element, if there's any decision-making in to like whether something fits in one category or the other. Who makes that decision?
Well, and that brings me, this is in the ALA's paper, and so here they list out those categories that are unprotected and says you can prohibit those, right? But they say, however, libraries should be aware that enforcement of such policies to ban unprotected speech could prove difficult, as library staff would be put in the position of determining whether particular speech fits within the legal definition, a determination that's generally relegated to the court system, whatever. So they're saying, we can ban those things, but, are the library staff really gonna be able to know? So that's why, it's in practice, they're saying you can't really do a lot.
Well, we could write something that lists things that can't be done, and
Yeah.
basically we can follow the First Amendment more or less. In our case, we want to limit it to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
If somebody puts something on that's considered by the library's administration to be offensive,
Should we say the director and
yeah,
the board president?
no, I don't think so.
I
that's
think we
too
should
much.
leave it to the library to be making the calls in the first
Okay,
place.
but then I don't agree with whatever the administrative part, that's too broad. I think it should be like president or something. I mean,
It should be the
director.
Director. I think in the first instance, it should be the library staff. If in fact
Well, and
somebody complains about it, we have a mechanism for complaints. You put Halloween, somebody puts down, it's anti-religious, it's witchcraft, okay? And somebody else writes, this is bullshit. This is nonsense. Or something, I can't even figure out what it would be. Library staff decides that whatever is said should be taken down. Right? Why couldn't we
Well,
have,
that's the thing. That was the issue with that one post that we had, and Luann took it upon herself to, I think, first take down some comments and then take down the entire post
what did she take
entirely.
down though? She may not have been right.
Well,
I don't think
it-
she
it
was.
Not right. I mean, it was arguably, it was
Restriction of.
correct under our existing policy,
Well,
but
maybe
not
it's too
legal,
narrow.
not constitutional. The issue was there was a post put up there, it had a photograph, the photograph had somebody wearing a t-shirt, somebody was offended by
Oh,
the,
that was Elise with the
Exactly.
t-shirt. Oh, okay.
and,
She shouldn't have taken that down.
Yeah.
Okay, but don't we have a mechanism when somebody disagrees with something?
The heated on there though, like,
Well, that was because it was a political issue.
yeah, but
but that,
I think that's what people get heated
Well,
about.
they can get heated, but it doesn't mean they're right.
Yeah, no, I agree. I
Yeah.
don't think she shouldn't have taken anything down. The speech was there, the post was there, people reflect on themselves when they say stupid shit,
Of
so
course.
let them reflect on themselves.
So we need to have a
But if
policy
you-
that's
if you
broad
say the
enough.
Staff will take it down, that's like, what if someone takes it down and takes it down inappropriately?
Then they have a complaint mechanism.
so the one thing, aside from the one incident that we're aware of,
Yeah.
right?
We really have. to-
Has this come up other times? Have they deleted posts? And I just don't know.
I think people were commenting on that.
But was their post deleted is the question,
No,
right?
No.
So if it's a rare enough thing, then it makes sense to go through the director and just say, if a post, violates these policies, it may be removed at the discretion of the directors, right? If it turns out that we're actually taking posts down all the time and some of them for good reasons, which I don't think is happening, but if that were the case, then it might be administratively too burdensome to go through the director.
yeah, I don't.
First of all, we have to make this a wider policy, right? The one we have is too restrictive
The one we have is
based on this
restricted.
case.
Yes,
So First Amendment rights, even though they may not be palatable, we have to allow for that.
Absolutely.
And we can put a thing in there that it should be restricted to the topic under which you plan to make a comment. If somebody takes it down, like for instance, Luann, whoever that HR person is or whoever's responsible would have to go to Pete. And Pete would have to okay that. If in fact it was felt after that, the person was still aggrieved, Pete could bring it to the board, or the person can come directly to the board because we have a mechanism for them to complain about something, right? But I don't think the board should be involved in those kinds of things. They're very rare,
That's true.
and it's not our job to do that. That's an administrative job of the library.
Yeah.
That's my view.
Okay. I
And,
agree with
and it
you.
needs to be broad, particularly in light, I haven't
Yeah.
read this, but what you
And-
said,
the,
it
I
looks
guess-
like personal attacks are okay. which.
And well, they even, there was one of the
Unless it's
one-
imminent threats, like.
Oh, but if they say I'm gonna come to your house and kill you,
Yeah.
but you
One
know,
one of the categories that they challenged was abusive, was abusive comments, and that was
so like,
It's a-
Peter's an asshole.
Tough skin,
Yeah,
you know,
because-
sometimes
well, they-
it's an F and B
Yeah.
and I'm coming to your house, well, not coming to your house,
No,
but I
No.
I hope that you die or something. What is
That's
that?
different than I'm gonna kill
They
you.
said abusive was just too open to, it was like too discretionary and open to like,
You know,
you know,
You know what it's like?
Yeah.
The Supreme Court said, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a broader policy with some mechanism for for grievance.
right. So there's, and so I wonder what people think about, the simplest case, right, or is to say, okay, we have a post up, right? People post on that. We have to leave those there. We can't take them down unless they meet this very high standard of falling into one of these categories. Okay, so that's the basic thing. The questions, and I don't know that we need to answer these in this policy, because this is a policy more directed to the public and saying, public, this is what you can't do on this site. Don't post things that violate these.
Yeah, we could have a legend on the thing, right?
But so actually, this is something we should think about, is the ALA suggests that your policy should be linked on each of the social media pages somewhere so that the policy is available from that page. So if you're on the Facebook page, there's a link that goes to the social media policy from the Facebook page, you don't have to go all the way to the library webpage and find the policies and find the social
It's a
media.
good
I
idea.
wonder if
So,
that's
but we can-
hard to do. I think that's pretty easy.
It's easy on Facebook. I don't know about the other social media sites, Instagram or wherever else we post stuff.
Well, we
I
can
think we do,
have,
don't we, or not? No?
I mean, I don't have an Instagram, so.
I don't
know.
either. So
let's assume we're talking about a Halloween event.
to the extent it's practical,
Yeah, I
we
think
should
it's a
link
good
it.
idea. You could just put it in the comments. The first comment, when people want to comment, is the policy.
Like,
So-
on every post,
Yeah,
yes.
Well, you can,
Why
say,
can't we-
please see the attachment for our policy regarding comments on social media. That's it, and attach it. Isn't it easy to do?
Well, I mean, it just seems like it's a pain for
Overkill.
for every single post, if we have a comment on every single
You're
post
maybe
saying,
right, I have
no,
no
please
idea.
share policy. So it's just,
what if the post has a legend that has like X asterisk and it says www.
well, I think if you go to like
I mean-
I think if you go to the library page, there's something that has like links, like just a general thing,
It
of
does.
like to the link to the website and link, I think we could just throw a link.
Why
that's
don't we
to our
talk to
social media
IT?
on there.
We can talk to IT
Yeah, we
about
can
what
get,
they're
that doesn't have to
capable
go
of
in the
doing.
policy.
The
That's-
point is, it has to be some notice to the public as to what's permissible and what
I
isn't.
It's
think
just
policy
better
on the
for us.
website.
It is. It's just if we make it,
Too difficult,
well, we just make it more obvious.
yeah.
But, but there's a couple questions that are not quite okay, there's no obligation to have comments to in the first place, right? So you can have posts and never open comments at all and just put a post up with information and there is no opportunity to comment. I think as far as I could see, it's an unsettled question. If somebody could somehow complain, I don't see how they'd have any basis for this. I don't think there'd be a problem with it. But if you were only selectively opening comments, like only opening comments on really non-controversial things, and if you posted something that was potentially gonna make a firestorm about something or other, then you left the comments closed for that post, could somebody complain about that? I don't-
Sure, they could go on their own Facebook and share our page and say, look at the library. They
Yeah,
are refusing
yeah.
to let me
Um,
comment.
They're showing
You
transgender
know,
books.
the place where you probably, where you would have a problem is if we're, selectively closing comments after they were already opened up to people. So we post a post, the comments are open, it starts turning into a heated back and forth between people in the comments, and then we close it and say no more comments.
We can't do
right?
that.
And that's where I
What's wrong with just having, October 31st, event at the library, Halloween? No ability to comment.
The problem is they want the comments because if you don't have comments, you don't get good engagement and sharing and everything. So when people comment on it, it ends up like showing
Any
up.
publicity is good publicity, Marcia.
Only if you will.
It's the more people interact with the post, then the more it
Okay.
becomes visible to other people and.
Then we've decided we're not foreclosing any comment.
Right, so
Okay.
it just is bad
I mean,
for,
just because I say it doesn't mean I believe it, I'm just trying
Oh,
to tick
yeah.
off,
Well,
I'm just trying to tick off issues.
yeah.
Okay, so we
Like
can't do
devil's
that.
advocate, that's why we're three
Yeah.
players.
Yeah, right, exactly, what a shame. What a mess.
So anyway, so I think, basically, the big picture is that we need to basically substantially
Revise this.
we need to, the categories of things that we're saying people can't post, we need to really reduce it only to those legally protected categories. But I think we also should make much more clear, because the only mention we have that's about the germaneness thing is we, in a list of other things, we say, material that is deemed off topic, right? And that's fine. Off topic is okay, because that's content neutral and that's the nature of the form that we're opening up. We're saying we're
But then
opening.
you'd have to delete all of the off topic, not just the ones that you find offensive.
Right, that's the thing, right? So like that becomes then, if you're selectively enforcing it, right? So if you leave up off-topic comments most of the time, but then somebody posts something that is both off-topic and offensive to people, and you delete that.
We have that already,
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's in that line.
yeah.
It says, right, but the other ones on there, off-topic, inappropriate, or offensive. Inappropriate and offensive are both.
Fine,
No-
and
no
there's a
good.
question about the first one, obscene matter or hate speech.
Well, yeah, obscene, if you mean legally obscene,
Right.
that's okay. Hate speech is
Not allowed.
you can't, that's not a legally recognized category, and it's not, it goes into viewpoint based.
So who's gonna be doing this one?
I'm doing it.
You wanna go through this list?
Yeah,
But-
no, right.
For your benefit, so we can agree?
Yeah,
Up to you.
and so, yeah, I
I'm
mean,
just trying to be practical in this one.
it's, and again, like this from the ALA, I think is a good representation of, this is like, these are the specific categories that have been identified as unprotected, right? And we got copyright violations, obscenity, child pornography, defamatory or libelous comments, or imminent or true threats, right? They say imminent or true threats against the library staff, or other users. I mean, it could be against anyone. It's still.
Yeah, I mean,
if it's
we have to
if
take
it's
a
if it's-
broad
if it's
view
a
of
true
that.
threat, right?
Yeah.
So, but, and that's basically it as far as so like, that's where you can be, categories that are unprotected, so we can specifically single out those categories and say they're not.
This may not be as, I mean, I don't think you need to do this part right now, but why don't we look at these, so we have so we have a meeting of the mind? Do you have a
So,
copy of it?
No, it's okay.
Here, I'll
Read
look
it
on
to
this,
me.
I'll look
I
on
can,
this.
okay, so, obscene, matter, so that we can keep.
Yeah,
The second one is not, I mean, that's not,
that's not protected
it's
class.
not, it's not an unprotected category of speech, so that like doesn't fly.
Sorry,
They can't do this.
yeah.
Right. The third one,
Yeah, that's that opinion.
personal attacks, harassment, or threatening language, right? So harassment, if it's like harassment as legally defined harassment, that can be potentially prohibited, but that's actually a very narrow category compared to what people use the term harassment very broadly.
We can't have a staff determine
I
if
think-
it's
I think
legally
that's-
harassment.
Yeah, it's not, because it usually requires, and usually it's very hard to ever find harassment in a public forum where it's one-to-many speech, where you're speaking to a public audience rather than one-on-one communications. So it's probably no good. Threatening, if it's actual threats, that's,
Well, we're gonna have imminent threats
So-
in there, so I think.
so threats is okay for us to, bar like threats.
Personal attacks permissible, according to that opinion.
What's that?
Personal attacks are permissible according to what you
Per-
read.
Personal attacks, they're allowed to criticize even a specific individual if they want to say that, Pete or one of the board members or whatever is
But they'd
doing,
be off topic.
well.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know that I agree to keep it on topic. Because again, if you're enforcing it selectively, oh, it's off topic, but it's benign. Or if it's off topic, but it's like
So
seriously
your question is, if
assaulting,
it's off topic regardless of this list, what do we do?
just
That,
like that.
well, and maybe we need to look at the Facebook page and see how often there's off-topic comments, like how often,
Sometimes you have questions, like.
and they
if
just
it's-
post a random question.
Yeah, it's like, how about this program? Are you bringing this back? So then it's off topic, but would you take it down?
Please confine your comments to the topics,
It's
but we
rude.
don't have to force anything that's benign.
That's what I'm saying, then you're selectively enforcing.
That's the problem. If somebody puts something up that's off topic and offensive, and then we delete that, and then we say, look, it was not germane to the topic, so that's why we deleted it. And they say, look, you've got dozens of comments that are not germane that you never delete. You just
Correct.
deleted mine because you didn't like
But
it.
you use the term offensive.
But that's not a non-protected.
Okay, but if
speech.
it's offensive and it's off topic, then, the guidelines would be that it stays there.
Yeah,
under the-
then all off-topic things should say, we should not limit it to topic-specific things
Well,
because,
And that's fine. We can, because
I mean, that's just my opinion.
No, but if
we
it's,
can just say it has to be germane to the library, right? And that's a broad, thing, but not make it post-specific.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's,
no, I agree.
because I think you're right. If it's post-specific, if we were policing that, that would be justifiable and we could do that. But if in practice, we're
It's
not
unmatched.
policing it, because,
It's not.
because we don't want to delete it every time somebody asks a benign question that's
Correct.
unrelated to the post.
Okay, but if it is
You,
on
you do a
topic,
post about something, some event that's coming up or whatever, and somebody says in the thing, hey, are you ever gonna bring back this or that? It's completely unrelated, but we don't want to get rid of that, then we need to leave off topic out of there. So,
except
that's
if
fair
it falls into a category that we can't allow. Then
Well,
the
that's a
issue,
separate-
yeah, that's the issue
Yeah.
of not that off topic, that's the
Right.
issue of
Yeah.
obscenity, let's say.
It has to be germane to the library.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, what's next?
So then it's what it said, potentially libelous or defamatory material. I think we should just say libelous or defamatory material.
Yes, I agree.
And again, we're hoping that we're not having to, in practice, take these down. And it says, like the ALA says, in practice, it's hard to police these things, but at least you're telling people, that's, whatever, like.
The next one
Plagiarized,
So-
copywritten material.
So copyrighted material
was protected.
is not protected,
Rather,
right? So copyrighted material, plagiarized, it should not be there, right? Because plagiarism is a broad category that is not, some plagiarism is perfectly, perfectly, it's protected, even if it's plagiarized,
Yeah.
right? So,
and no one's gonna be able to police that.
like,
Someone puts a quote by some author in there.
well, it's like, suppose somebody's arguing, there's an argument about something in, some topical issue or whatever, and instead of making my own argument about it, I steal some language that some person from, some politician or something said when this issue came up in some other library and some other thing, and I just kind of quote them, but passing it off as myself saying or whatever.
Right.
I mean, it's plagiarism,
You
but
can't
but it's
police
not
that.
illegal.
Yeah.
The rest of this, copyright material or which otherwise violate or potentially violate local, state, or federal law.
So that piece there,
Right.
I don't know what they're trying to include in this, right? Material which would otherwise violate, I don't like this potentially violate, right? Because material which otherwise violates local, state, or federal law,
If somebody
Right.
puts in a seditious act, or a seditious comment.
I guess, there could be things that violate some other state or federal law that's not included in these categories we already have there. We could leave that as a catch-all, even though in practice, we're not gonna ever be.
Yeah, there's no way that the staff is gonna.
I know.
But I think it's a good thing to keep in though. Yeah, I mean.
If they're categories that people really should not be doing, right, and it's, right, I think it's okay for us to list it, even if in practice we're not able to police it. Because again, it is a way, it goes along with, because we also have a disclaimer, and we should have a disclaimer that basically says, nothing anyone posts in his comments is represents the views of the library, or we
Right.
take no responsibility for what
course.
they post, all that stuff.
But I think this stuff is important because
Yeah.
it's just boilerplate, really.
Yeah.
And if we're ever sued or anything, we can point to this if somebody did in fact put something down that violated federal law or local law. Okay.
So then, these two, I'm not sure
What to do with
about
that,
these.
yeah.
Which ones?
There's one that's advertisements or commercial messages.
You'll have to take those down. What's
And-
wrong with
And the
that?
next one is solicitation for donations, memberships, or services requiring a fee for any non-library purpose, right?
So that puts it into a commercial realm, so does
And
the
Well,
other.
so
those are
if this is non-library purpose,
What's it
right,
doing there?
then it might fall under the non-germane thing in the first place, right?
Right,
So,
correct.
yeah. But the question is, what if you got somebody who's obnoxiously advertising their own, like they have a business that could-
Tarot cards.
Well, let's say it's like tangentially related to the library in some way, that they, they have some business they offer. And they keep over and over again posting in the comments to advertise their own services. and
Just
things.
ignore that. I don't.
I think they
we should
probably
take
do,
that
I don't
down.
know.
What did you say? You think what?
Most people ignore that. I've seen comments like that and I've seen threads where people are just like, check out my website. I'm selling this new method of making money. Check out my website.
Yeah.
I'm selling this new method of making money. And there's just like,
But do we want,
Like
do we
robots.
know if we get that much? Do we want to?
I bet you we don't.
there.
I bet you we don't. I don't worry about that.
Okay.
I would take that out.
So the next one they have is spam, which is not defined here or anything.
Same thing I was just
But
saying.
They,
it's a
there was,
robot.
there's one, so there's something that I think is maybe not a bad thing for us to have, which is, I was looking at the policies of the other Upper Hudson libraries, and there was, duplicate posts from the same individual,
Mhm.
I mean, over and over and over.
which I think, that's a perfectly reasonable thing that we can have, and that's viewpoint neutral. And it's it's just basically prevent somebody from kind of just like, just
Yeah.
kind of hijacking a common thread by just, posting the same thing over and over
That's
again.
fine.
Yeah,
So-
but how
But
many
is,
is too
can that
much?
be prevented? Like, that's not, is that for us to do?
We can, is what I'm saying, and I don't,
Yeah, but how much is too much?
The law says so?
because it's viewpoint neutral, because it has nothing to do with what they're saying. It's just the fact that they're posting the same thing repeatedly.
Yeah, I think we could put that in there.
So, I think that's,
Put that in there as what?
Well, when he says.
like, instead of spam,
Sort of
like,
Oh, I
like,
see.
like
Duplicate.
duplicate posts,
Okay, because
from the same individual. Right, and that was, Bethlehem had that.
Oh,
their-
okay.
Their,
contacts pertaining to organized political or partisan activities. Now that is,
Take that down.
that is protected, but I don't think it belongs on the library site.
well, I guess it depends what it is, right? Like, imagine, right? that-
Well, if it has to do with freedom of reading and all that, that's political.
If somebody says vote, I have no problem. If somebody says vote for Donald Trump,
Well,
Then what?
but that's viewpoint based, if we're
Yeah,
letting
you
people say,
can't-
right?
Everybody can say
And-
whatever
and,
political
well, it's
speech is
just-
protected.
It's a little, like, I'm not sure what counts as organized, but what if, there's a bill going through the New York State Legislature that's about library funding or something like that, and
Right.
somebody posts on the thing, hey, call your, assembly, person and tell them to vote for this library funding, right?
that's related to the
But
library.
that's, could be also partisan political activity, if you're like calling on people to
You're right.
like, contact the
It could be.
legislature and vote on a bill,
It could be.
I think, we're probably better
Put that in there.
keep ourselves
At the-
away, like, these aren't things that happen very much, and so,
So are
Having
you
a-
just saying to leave it in there?
no, I would probably say we cut that out
I'm
as
saying
well.
political speech is protected. You get into a
Yeah.
lot of trouble if you take
Yep.
that down.
Yeah, but we're also not a political organization.
No, I know, but,
But this isn't about the library speech, this is about individual.
No, I
speech,
understand
right?
that. Understand that.
I mean, I guess if you're saying germane to the library,
Well, like, for example, right, what if somebody were to post.
about the bill relating to library funds?
Or just even more like going to like political activity or whatever, what if we have our library election coming up, right? And somebody says, oh, the library board has been terrible, and vote for these, this slate of challengers in the upcoming thing that's gonna kind of, bring things back in line with what the community wants.
To leave it.
No, I think so. I think we'd have to leave that. I think
Well,
that-
one of the comments about Mike Pusbar, by someone I called, was that he wanted a campaign at a library and run a campaign there, and they said, forget it, you can't, this is not
Well,
a
yeah.
political organization, you can't do that.
Well, that's different. That's like,
Posting. on
yeah,
our
this
social
is,
I was just using that as an example, but
this is a play, thing we've, well, I think it would be questionable, like, if
I
somebody,
just had a case
if somebody showed
before a
up,
judge.
yeah,
say that again?
I just had a case before a judge. I don't know if you guys have followed the sticker mule problem.
No.
What?
Sticker Mule is a company in Amsterdam and they put a huge vote for Trump sign on their building. And the city like wanted them to take it down
yeah.
and they filed for
Is that a
you know,
private
too much
organization?
about it because it's still sort of.
It's a private
enforced.
organization?
Yeah, but the city wanted them to take it down.
Because,
Well, they cited a bunch of violations, town violations. Procedurally,
Where is this up?
in Amsterdam.
Oh, okay.
somebody will question the town, but the, you know, the
No,
town.
but ultimately, the discussion was when the judge was hearing arguments about the TRO that she had issued, which she later vacated, was that this is protected speech. And so ultimately, was the suit pretextual and just brought to stop protected speech, because you can't do that.
Did they
Right.
throw out any of the rules that the town cited?
It's a
Or was
little
it
more
all
complicated. The case is still technically before us.
Okay.
They procedurally brought the suit incorrectly, so she gave them a chance to correct the summons with notice.
It's a private
But she
building
did vacate the TRO.
that
she
was
had
brought by the
initially
town,
placed.
that was
Yeah.
brought by the town.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
And she, you know, in
Yeah.
mention, in talking on the record, it was discussed that the defendant, who's the guy who put the vote for Trump sign, could possibly have a case against the city for violation of freedom of speech, because that is protected
I
speech.
agree with that. Well, you know, if you're
So,
driving on a
yeah.
road and somebody
And
put up
his
a
attorneys
sign, vote for
agree.
Trump,
Yeah.
there's no way that you can make them take that
Yeah,
down.
well, the thing is, I mean, towns can have sign laws, right? But
It was
But-
different reasons.
sign laws have to stick to viewpoint neutrality. There was a Supreme Court case that was probably about 4 years ago now that people said basically, the Supreme Court basically said, look, you know, we mean what we said about sign laws and like any like, you know, laws about signage or things like that have to be strictly viewpoint neutral. And people after that case came out said basically jurisdictions all over the country are going to have to revise and rewrite their sign
think
laws
that's
because
true.
they're routinely. Well, I was going through so I went through all the Upper Hudson libraries to look at who had social media policies. I'd say only about a third of the libraries have any social media policy,
Really?
but every single one that's there is,
Do you have what? Do you have Facebook pages?
I don't know, I wasn't checking that. I was just checking their policies. So I was just looking like who had.
They were all restricted, right? Probably would never hold up.
Some of them are much more like obviously unconstitutional than ours. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Right where we live is private property, and there's a homeowners association.
Right,
And one of
right.
the things they say is they don't like to have any kind of
Sign.
political signs.
Yeah.
Well, around the corner from me, Howie's vascular doctor has the American flag and a Trump flag.
I know.
You know who I mean?
Yeah.
He's a great guy. I don't
Yeah.
get it, but that's not my business. Nobody saying he should take down the
Yeah,
Trump
but
sign.
I had a political sign in front of my yard because we were supporting a certain candidate
new
for
house?
legislator. Yeah.
And they asked you to
I
take
didn't
it
know
down.
that. They asked me to take it down.
Well, you know,
And I
I,
did take it down because I was like, oh, we're just.
who needs
in
this?
neighborhood,
Well, then
like,
somebody should ask him to take down the Trump sign.
It's not gonna be me.
The neighbor next to him has an American flag and the flag of Israel. Is that a political, you know, who knows? Some, you know, people will object to it. The thing is, if they asked you to take that sign down and they're not enforcing the other sign, I don't know, you know, the flag, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
start
you don't wanna,
pushing,
yeah.
But in terms of the library posting, I think you can't take down the political speech.
yeah, so I mean, I think basically, you know, we're gonna basically be
Yeah.
limiting it to this very narrow category.
And organized political and partisan activities, you know, you raise the legislative piece.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, sometimes it's helpful because we have a bill in the library that we want to see passed. You know,
How about the material that's dim, off topic, and appropriate offensive, we're taking that down, right?
yeah. So I mean, I think the off topic will handle separately as
Separate,
as
yeah.
as it has to be germane to, or, you know, relevant to the library.
Information that's in the library's discretion is private or personal. Even, I don't even know what the hell that means, even if
Yeah.
posted by the person to which it pertains, or which contains privileged, proprietary, or confidential information about any person or entity.
I mean, if you post people's addresses and phone numbers and socials and data.
Or if somebody has a communicable disease and you put it on.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, this is definitely, I mean, this is, well, it says private or personal, even if posted by the person, right, to which it pertains.
Is this the club group?
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll finish up and get.
Starting, yeah.
Get out of here, yeah.
We're just trying to do.
Yeah,
give
so
it-
and because that came up actually in this case, the 11th Circuit case here, because they kind of gave that as part of their justification for the like personally directed
Yeah.
thing. They're saying, well, it's getting, we get into people's personal information, personal thing.
But they
So-
said it was
so-
okay.
Take that down if someone posts
No,
something.
no, I don't, because this is definitely overbroad, right? Because, first of all, what is personal or private information, right? First, it's at the library's discretion, is personal or private information,
Well, I
right?
think it's PII, if you define it
Well,
as
if we
PII.
define it as PI, but that's pretty narrow, right? Like, is that what they mean? But like,
Well, I mean, I think that's what we should mean,
Say it again, what would we mean?
personally identifiable
I
information,
didn't
so
get that.
like,
okay, but here's a piece of personal information, right? If you had a,
no identifiable information. So.
okay, well, that's not what this says here, though.
No, I agree, that is completely overbroad, I would say PII information, so like birthday, address, phone number.
Personally identifiable information.
Yeah.
Yet we're allowing people to say that Joe is a shit.
Yeah, but
And,
it's- that just requires tough skin. Somebody's address requires what? Moving out of state because you're afraid that person's gonna come at your door.
that's probably public information.
It's used, a lot of it is public, but let me,
Somebody's credit card information, social
Well, that's
security
different.
number.
Yeah, that I agree.
well, let me look into that
Yeah.
and see, because maybe
That's
we can include.
narrow it or
include that.
something
Yeah,
like that.
it's a little narrower.
This seems to be too broad.
Because this just says any information that
Yeah.
is personal or
No,
private.
I agree, that's totally broad.
Yeah, it's too, that's what I just said.
All
All
All right.
I'm sure that helped.
yeah, no, I'll be good. And then, so I'm gonna do
What
that.
about the rest of it? Three more things.
Yeah, so,
Publication of
Oh, I,
identity.
okay.
So-
I don't think that's crazy, because people have different, they can
Where are
call
we?
themselves Joe Schmo. I
it
think.
depends on this social media site and what their things are, but I mean, if it's a social media site that just allows people to have whatever kind of handle they want to have on that, and doesn't require, I mean, Facebook in theory has a true names policy where you're supposed to be under your own name, but.
I don't have my true name on
Which
there.
one are we
A
looking
lot-
at?
So the posting's made through falsification of identity.
Oh,
So it's saying you have to identify yourself. And people have Facebook posts that are under a screen name or alias or something like that because they don't want it under their real name on the
but
Facebook.
what if somebody puts a comment in and it's anonymous? No, they don't put their name on it.
Yeah, so I mean, on Facebook, you can't exactly do that, but it depends on the social media site. Like,
You should take that down.
yeah, so I think we should too.
Hyperlinks to material are not directly related to the discussion, no, to the library.
Right, and so I think when we say, the one I was saying that where we say, it has to be relevant, and oh, by the way, so back up in the top paragraph on the purpose, if you look at the last sentence of the purpose, I think we should use this language as our description. It says postings related to the library's mission statement. Well, no, that's not exactly what I want to say.
But we have a published mission statement.
Yeah, no, I think, forget that. I think we'll say comments, must be, related to the library or the library's programs or services or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? But I think we say posts including any links or something like that, just to make clear, like if somebody,
Right,
if people are putting, if they put a comment that's germane with a link that's completely irrelevant because they just want to post to their business or something like
Yeah.
that, we could remove the link because it has no.
Which case is this?
In theory, so I don't know.
yeah,
Which case is this?
It was from the 11th circuit, it was just last week, so
what
that
about the illegal activity?
this was a school board public comment policy.
Is it okay if I take this and you can just reprint it in your
Yeah,
own?
I have, yeah, you can.
Is that
yeah,
okay?
Sure.
Because I'd like to read it and I don't have any means to do that.
No, go ahead.
Can we take out the illegal activity then?
Yeah, I think if we keep that other thing that says, content which violates local, state, or federal laws, then I think that covers
Yeah.
it. We don't need this other one for illegal activity.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
I
so-
think that sums it up.
Yeah,
But
that
this
is, I mean,
should
we
give
just
you
wanted to do some
like a
guidance on.
roadmap to a draft.
Yeah, I'll get this.
So you're doing that?
Yeah, and I think this, and so I'm gonna do, very, similar edits, there's less that has to be done on it, but on our public comment policy,
Yeah.
right? Just because we have some stuff that's a little, it's like,
But it has to mimic, it has to mirror like this. We can't have it way different.
right, so I think we should make them, as far as the content piece of
Yeah.
it, because it says, this one disallows personal attacks on library board members or staff members, and also says, can't use language that's considered offensive, harassing, or profane.
No, it has to mean.
No, I know, so we'll make it mirror.
They have to
Um,
look alike, but
We'll just,
if we work on the big one, we can retrofit this
Yeah.
one.
I think it would be worth in our public comment thing, adding something at the end of our policy that's right in the policy that says something about it is like not our, like it is, it is the board's policy not to,
Restrict free speech.
no, not to respond to public comment made during meetings. Just and just put that right in our policy.
Yeah, sure.
Just to
that's
put it
fine.
out, because that is our best practices
that
that we
is
keep
our-
saying
we
we're
got into
supposed to do
trouble.
this, but it's not, yeah, that caused that little
Yeah, that
issue.
with
It's a lot.
Vanessa, yeah, but I think
So-
that's supposed to leave anyway.
It would be good to put it right in our
Oh, I agree.
policy, just so.
We have to get out of here.
Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
interrupt the.
All right,
regular
just, are
Can I give
you,
you this now?
Oh.
I did the investment policy.
oh, you have a draft?
Okay, it's down and dirty.
Okay,
You'll see comments in here that refer to the general municipal law, because mostly it's 10 and 11.
here's your,
Feel free to eviscerate. I cribbed from Bethlehem, I cribbed from Albany. I rearranged, and there are some questions in here because, treasurer is an officer of the library by the bylaws, but doesn't vote, doesn't get paid. I mean, George comes and he does his
Right.
thing. To what extent you want the treasurer involved? I mean, my point is, this is for comment purposes.
okay,
Did you want to email it to us? Oh, you want to just share it like that? Okay.
But when I thought we were having the other government's meeting, I had feet. So feel free. I mean, don't worry about,
okay,
you get my point.
yeah.
And my
that's great.
my writing, now Barbara typed it. And I added stuff that either I had an afterthought or wasn't, So you'll see, it's not a very professional looking thing, but I.
That's fine, yeah, draft is a draft.
So this is, and, feel free to look at Albany and Bethlehem. It's different. Albany's a bigger place. They have things in there. So just two things I want to point out. We do have to, as a board, pick a list of depositories that the library is comfortable using. And we do have to maximize, it's right in the statutes. We do have to say how much, the maximum amount that's allowed to be invested in that particular institution. We don't have that now. Because it's a qualitative and quantitative, and there are certain rules for the kind of institution we should use. They're all reasonable. And also what we don't have is how to collateralize anything that's over the FDIC amount. And it's very complicated when you take a look at the statutes. I tried to boil it down there's a definition of eligible securities, and namely, if you put up collateral, what you can use as collateral. This is for the bank. For money that we have in that's over the 250,000, if that's still the number for FDIC.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
this,
So
yeah, okay.
It's either by a letter of credit, and I gave some alternatives.
Yeah,
A surety bond, which, you got to go to an insurance company.
so I don't know as a practical matter how this works, because I know right now, I mean, we've got our money split over, when we do CDs, it's split over CDs issued by different banks so that it all stays under the 250. And then we use that, what's it called, the account that we're using right now, the InterFi. The
Yeah,
InterFi, they automatically do that for us, and they basically,
Okay, but these are the guidelines.
right, so I'll read this and.
So,
I think we should go because.
okay.
Yeah.
The other thing to look at is the permitted investments. There's a list of permitted investments under the statute, okay?
Yep,
And some are more extensive than others. Albany allows things we probably wouldn't do. Bethlehem is more truncated. And this is what I thought was reasonable for us, but we could cut it out, we can make it shorter.
okay,
So, and the pencil is the reference to the site in the journals.
okay,
Okay?
all right, well.
I'm just gonna read this and hopefully I have something for you on next time.
I'm going back to.
All right. Call it-
Sorry, this was a productive meeting.
Yeah, I think we're
Yeah.
making good progress.
6:33.
And if I can make changes to this, and then if I can, and I'll try my best, I can get involved in helping with some of the other processes.
All right, well, thanks. I would-
Yeah, no, great.
I'm going to shut off the recording.
I gave Pete a copy of this last week when He came to the meeting,
Oh, okay.
so he has it, and, you know, he's involved in it, so he needs to look
Yeah,
at it.
meeting tomorrow.
Say it again?
Yeah.
Meeting is
I
tomorrow.